Something just happened in Maine that no one saw coming, and it might be the biggest shift on the entire Senate map this cycle. So let's not waste any time. We're building this map from scratch tonight, race by race, using nothing but the newest poll available in every single competitive contest. No hunches, no wishful thinking, just the freshest numbers we have. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly where the control of Senate stands heading into November, and which handful of states are actually going to decide it. Let's go straight to Maine. A brand new Fox News poll just dropped Susan Collins back into the lead, 3 points ahead of Democratic nominee Graham Plattner among more than 1,000 registered voters. This is the first time all cycles showing Collins on top, and it landed hard. Plattner's odd on the prediction market Kalshi fell to 52%, down from a high of 72 just 2 months ago. That reaction might look extreme for one poll, but there's history here worth remembering. Back in 2020, Collins trailed her opponent in every single poll of the entire cycle and still won by 8.5 points. She outran Donald Trump by a wide margin in a state he lost by 9 that same year. Underestimating her has been a losing bet before. Plattner also walks into the fall carrying real baggage, plenty of controversy that Republicans have already built ad after ad around. That's a real headwind heading into the final stretch. On the other hand, Collins is not the politician she was 6 years ago. Morning Consul's latest tracker has her sitting as the second most unpopular senator in the entire country, a dangerous number to carry into what looks like a genuinely blue national environment, especially in a state that leans Democratic at its core. There's a long way left to run here, but based purely on the newest data available, Maine slides into the lean Republican column for right now. Up next, a race that's looking considerably steadier. Democratic Congressman Chris Pappas leads former Republican Senator John Sununu by 6 points in fresh St. Anselm College polls, his widest margin across the last 3 surveys tracked by RealClearPolling, which averages out closer to a 3-point cushion. That number tracks almost perfectly with the state's underlying partisan lead, sitting at D plus 3.6, meaning a generic Democrat should win by roughly that margin in a truly neutral year. And 2026 is anything but neutral. The generic ballot right now runs about 6 points in Democrats' favor nationally, which should be more than enough cushion for Pappas, even against a genuinely strong opponent in Sununu. Ohio. Now to a race that might decide everything. If Democrats are flipping this chamber, Ohio has to be the part of the equation. And they recruited about as strong a candidate as they could ask for in the former Senator Sherrod Brown, taking on appointed incumbent Jon Husted for the remainder of the term left by J.D. Vance. The newest poll from the New York Times has Husted up by 3, 50 to 57, comfortably inside the margin of error. Zoom out to the last 5 polls averaged together, Brown is actually ahead by roughly half a point. That average gets pulled out by one outlier, an 8-point Brown lead in May Fox News survey. Strip that single-out poll and every other result sits within 3 points either direction. Ohio's underlying lean is deeply Republican, R plus 10, but the national environment is expected to run heavily blue, and Brown has a track record of beating these numbers on election night. For now, this number stays a lean red state, but barely. Michigan. Here's a wrinkle. Gary Peters retiring left the seat more exposed than Democrats wanted, and their primary has been genuinely brutal, trending towards Abdul El-Sayed, who a lot of party insiders privately consider the weakest general election option of the 3 candidates in the field. The polling tells a different story, though. The newest Michelle survey has El-Sayed leading presumptive Republican nominee Mike Rogers by 5 points among over 800 likely voters. For comparison, that same poll has Rogers up by 4 over Congressman Haley Stevens and up just 2 over State Senator Mallory McMurrow. It's a single poll, sure, but look at the averages and all 3 Democrats sit within a point of each other against Rogers. Based on the freshest number available, Michigan leads blue on tonight's map. Iowa. A tighter story here. Republican Congressman Ashley Hinson leads Democratic State Representative Josh Turek by 2 points. Based on 600 likely voters surveyed mid-June, structurally this looks a lot like Ohio, a Republican-lean state in a Democratic trending year. But the comparison stops there once you look at the candidates. Turek doesn't carry the same statewide profile Sherrod Brown brings to Ohio. While Hinson is a perfectly solid candidate, unremarkable Republican incumbent-type candidate, Iowa stays red. Minnesota. Another state made competitive purely by retirement, but Minnesota stays for much bluer baseline than Michigan, rated likely Democratic by essentially every forecaster in the country. The latest impact research poll has Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan up 7 over Republican Michelle Tafoya, a former NFL sideline reporter making her first run at office. This one stays likely Democratic. Nebraska. Here's a genuine surprise. A brand new Tavern research poll has independent Dan Osborne leading Republican incumbent Pete Ricketts by 5 points among more than 1,000 likely voters. Every single poll before this one had the race within a single point, essentially a coin flip. This is the first survey all cycle showing either candidate with real separation. Osborne built his name here last cycle, coming out of nowhere to finish within 7 points of unseating longtime Senator Deb Fischer. Ricketts, meanwhile, ranks among the 10 most unpopular senators in the entire country, and Osborne already has the campaign infrastructure in place from the last run. Based on this poll, Nebraska moves into the lean independent column tonight. Worth noting, Osborne has said repeatedly he won't caucus with either party if he wins. Kansas. Staying in the Plains, another Tavern research poll shows incumbent Republican Roger Marshall up 8 over Democratic Adam Hamilton. Hamilton flirted with running as independent before ultimately choosing the Democratic ballot line, a decision that cost him some ground in a state Trump carried by 16 points. Still, in a genuinely blue national year, there's at least a path for this to get more interesting than the baseline suggests. Texas. Now for one of the wildest storylines of the entire cycle. The newest New York Times Siena College poll has Republican Ken Paxton and Democrat James Tallarico dead even at 47% apiece. That makes it the third of the last 5 polls to show a true tie, with Paxton up by only a point or 2 in the other 2. Tallarico is chasing history here, trying to become the first Democrat to win statewide office in Texas this century. Paxton, meanwhile, knocked off incumbent John Cornyn in a bruising primary runoff with Donald Trump's backing, much to the frustration of the party's establishment, and he's dragging genuine baggage in the general elections. Security fraud allegations, extramarital affair reports, and the bribery scandal that triggered his impeachment by a Republican-controlled state house. Republicans' odds on Calci has slipped under 60%. That said, Texas has a well-earned reputation for outperforming its polls for Republicans on election night, and I'd need to see Tallarico holding a consistent multi-point lead before believing a flip is really in play. For now, Texas sits as a true toss-up. Alaska. Some New York Times Siena poll shows Republican Dan Sullivan up 2 over Democrat Mary Peltola in Alaska, and this is notable because it's the first poll since last August to show Sullivan ahead at all, after Peltola led in 8 straight surveys before this one. Alaska's baseline mean is solidly Republican, R plus 12.5, but Peltola might be the single strongest challenger running anywhere in the country this cycle, a proven statewide winner as recently as 2022. Sullivan, for his part, ranks as the 3rd most unpopular senator in America, trailing only Susan Collins and one another. Along with Maine and Ohio, this could be the one seat that Democrats absolutely need if they're serious about flipping the majority. For tonight, it tilts Republican, but only just. Midpoint scoreboard. Before we round out the map throughout the Southeast, here's where things stand. Republicans project to 48 seats, Democrats sit at 46, 1 seat leans independent, and 1 remains a genuine toss-up. As things stand out, Republicans would only need to hold 2 of the remaining contested races to lock in 50 seats and keep control, courtesy of the vice presidential tiebreaker. North Carolina. Former Governor Roy Cooper leads RNC Chair Michael Whatley by 7 points in the newest New York Times poll, matching a polling average that's been consistently wide in Cooper's favor since the day he entered the race. Democrats look genuinely positioned to win their first federal contest here since Barack Obama carried the state in 2008. And Cooper's odds on Calci keep climbing, now approaching 90%. This one is likely Democratic. Georgia. The Peach State has spent nearly a decade as the center of the national battlefield, with 5 straight presidential or Senate races decided by less than 3 points. That streak looks like it might finally break. Incumbent Democrat Senator John Ossoff leads Republican Congressman Mike Collins by 7 points. And this comes from Echelon Insights, a Republican-aligned pollster, which makes the number even more notable. Ossoff remains a fundraising juggernaut, consistently outraising every other Senate candidate in the country by a wide margin. And his odds on Kalshi sit strongly in favor at 85%. Georgia joins North Carolina as likely Democratic, which pulls the overall count even at 48 seats apiece. Florida. From here, the map turns more comfortably Republican. Florida has drifted out of the true battleground territory during the Trump years, and the newest poll from McLaughlin and Associates has incumbent Ashley Moody up 7 over Democrat Alexander Vindman. This one rates likely Republican. South Carolina. Last stop on tonight's map. Impact Research, a Democratic-aligned firm, has incumbent Lindsey Graham up 5 over likely Democrat nominee Annie Andrews. Graham remains one of the most polarizing figures in the chamber, consistently unpopular with his own constituency and a perennial top Democratic target. Yet he keeps winning by margins wider than the polling suggests. There's no strong reason to expect this cycle breaks the pattern. Final map. Putting it all together, Republicans hold the Senate majority at 50 seats, Democrats at 48, Nebraska leans independent for Dan Osborne, and Texas remains true toss-up heading into the fall. That's tonight's map built entirely from the newest data in every single race. Drop your own read on these numbers in the comments. I read every single one of them. A genuine thank you to the subscribers supporting this coverage listed below, and if this kind of breakdown is worth your time, a like and a subscribe goes a long way towards keeping it coming. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.